Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Dear respected guests, students, people, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you guys. Shagufta Baji is very generous. She has mentioned some things about me that I don't feel that I am worthy of. But nonetheless, here we are, and here I am, and here you are, and we're gonna have to make the best of this. So inshallah, I will try my best. Do you guys English or Urdu? What are you more comfortable with? Either? Dono? Mix?
Yes.
English? Mix? Okay. Well, we'll swing it then. Okay. So like Baji said, some of the things that we will be talking about are going to be a little bit difficult and complicated, and there's going to be a lot of information. But my hopes with this course, with this series of classes, is to present that difficult and complicated information to you in such a way that you, first of all, know what it says, secondly, understand what it says, and thirdly, you can understand how it is implied and how it is implemented in our daily lives, because otherwise it's just textbook. तो कोई किताब पढ़ के डॉक्टर सर्जन नहीं बन जाता, उसको प्रैक्टिकल सर्जरी करनी पड़ती है. Only then is he qualified to become a surgeon. So I don't want to make it just textbook for you. I would like to hopefully present the information in such a way that you can relate to it. So the topic that we will be talking about is Ihsan, the science of Ihsan. And I see that you guys have been working on this right here. It talks about Ihsan and a few other things, the Hadith of Jibreel. So I just want to, I'm going to try to make it a little bit more interactive. So who has heard of Ihsan before? Almost half that people, that group over there. Okay, and Islam, the 5 pillars of Islam. I will make it simple. We've heard of the 5 pillars of Islam? What are those 5 pillars of Islam? Shahada, Salah, Zakat, Saum, Hajj. So 5 pillars of Islam.
Yes.
Where do we get these 5 pillars of Islam? I mean, yes, it's in the Quran, but in the Quran there are other things as well. For example, Quran talks about the rights of a musafir, for example. Quran talks about the rights of miskeen and yatim and widows, and the doing of good and forbidding the evil, the amr bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar. And it talks about inheritance, and it talks about other laws and other fiqh and everything. So why do we say, when somebody asks what are the 5 pillars of Islam, we right away say the 5 things? Why not everything else? Makes you wonder, right? Or at least it should. And that's the purpose of my being here, inshallah. I would like to present some information to you which may not necessarily be brand new, but I want to present you with a new perspective on things, so yet I should leave you with something to think about. Something that'll make you go, I never thought about that. So that's, inshallah, the aim. So the hadith, there is a hadith narrated by Hazrat Umar, and it is a muttafaq alayh. Do you know what it means when we say muttafaq alayh? What that means is that there are several books of ahadith, compilation of ahadith. There are 7 books. And some ahadith appear in one book, and some appear in the other book, and some appear in the 3rd book, and some doesn't appear in the first one but appears in the 4th book, and they are all authentic and true. And then there are some which appear consistently throughout all 7, which means that everybody has agreement upon that. So muttafaq alayh means that everybody agrees unanimously upon that particular thing. So there's a hadith that is muttafaq alayh, that has appeared time and again in several books, and it goes something like this. It says that once the companions were in the company of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there came a stranger, ek ajnabi shakhs aaya, and he was dressed in white libas like you guys are, mashallah. And he came down, he came to Prophet ﷺ and he sat down in front of him, घुटने से घुटना मिलाकर, and he asked them, or he asked him rather, what is Islam? So it's a rather long hadith, so I don't want to get into too much detail, but he asked, what is Islam? So Hazrat Umar says that even though we had never seen the guy before, so we assumed that he was a traveler. हमने चूँकि उसे उस दिन से पहले कभी ना देखा था, तो हमने ये समझा कि वो मुसाफिर है, लेकिन उसके चेहरे पर थकन के, सफ़र के असरात न थे. He did not look tired. So when he sat down in front of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asked, what is Islam? So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Islam is the 5 pillars that we know today. Islam is the shahada, the fasting, zakat, salah, and hajj. And that is where we get our 5 pillars from. So it's not like somebody randomly woke up one day and decided, you know what, I'm gonna randomly pick these 5 and isolate the others, and this is my 5 pillars, and everything else is, for lack of a better word, not as important. No, it wasn't decided by us. It was taught by Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you know that it is true, that it is authentic, and it is a part of his teachings. Whatever he taught is what we follow. So he taught, in response to what is Islam, he taught the 5 pillars of Islam. So the person said, indeed you have spoken the truth. So the person is confirming what he said, not that he needs a confirmation, but he is showing his agreement that yes, you and I are both on the same page, so to speak. So the question arises कि अगर पता था तो पूछा क्यों? और अगर नहीं पता था तो फिर why do you say that you have spoken the truth? Perspective. I'll leave you at that. Then the next question, he asked, what is Iman? And not necessarily in that order, but another question that he asked was, what is Iman? And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded, Iman is the belief in the oneness of Allah, same the shahada, the belief in the oneness of Allah and His angels. So we believe in angels, right? His angels. And His prophets, His messengers. So we believe in the prophets. And the scriptures, the books that were revealed upon those prophets. The holy books. So, ईमान क्या है? शहादत. ईमान क्या है? मलाइका पे ईमान, फरिश्तों पे ईमान, रसूलों पे ईमान, किताबों पे ईमान जो holy scriptures हैं. And this is आमन्तु बिल्लाहि व मलाइकतिहि व कुतुबिहि व रसूलिहि वल यौमिल आखिर, which is the day of resurrection, the day of judgment. So, Iman is also to believe that there is life after death. सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि आए खाया पिया और चल दिया and that's the end of the story. No, there is life after death. So we are going to be held accountable. So there is a concept of accountability. हम जो आज करेंगे ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उसका बदला कल मिले. हो सकता है उसका बदला उस दिन मिले and उस दिन के बदले से डरना चाहिए. So malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wal qadri khayri sharrihi wal qadri khayri sharri min Allah ta'ala. Okay, everything that happens by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is nothing that happens, ek patta bhi apni jagah se nahi hilta without His permission. So that is also a part of our iman, that the belief in the divine decree, the qudrat, the taqdeer, the muqaddar. So that is a part of our belief. वल बासी बादल मौत, एंड ऑफ कोर्स लाइक वी टॉक अबाउट द रेजरेक्शन. सो न सिर्फ ये कि हिसाब किताब होगा, बल्कि हिसाब किताब हमसे होगा. वी विल बी रेजरेक्टेड. इट्स नॉट लाइक सम इमेजिनरी थिंग. हमसे हिसाब किताब होगा. आवर बॉडीज, इवन दो दे मे डिके एंड डिकम्पोज, बट दे विल बी ब्रॉट बैक टुगेदर and we will be presented in his court and we will be asked to defend ourselves. हमारा नामा अमाल सबके सामने होगा. So that is iman. So the stranger said, indeed you have spoken the truth. Is everybody with me so far? Yes. All right. So now if you think about it, what is Islam? Islam is the shahada and the roza and the kalma and the namaz and the zakat and the hajj. So shahada is something that you utter from your lips, right? Iqrarum bil lisan. You say it with your tongue. So shahada is something that you say. Saying is what? Something, an action. It's a verb. It's something you do. It's an amal. ठीक है? What's the second thing? सलाह. So सलाह को क्या करते हैं? नमाज को क्या करते हैं? पढ़ते हैं. We perform the salah. It's an action, it's a verb, it's an amal, right? What's the third thing? Saum. Saum क्या करते हैं? रखते हैं. Fasting is something that we do. It's an action, it's an amal. And same thing with zakat, हम देते हैं, and hajj हम करते हैं. So the entire list of Islam is that whole thing is actions. It's all amal. It's something that you do. It's something that if you don't do, I can see that you're praying, or I can see that you're not praying. So it's evident. It's zahir. It's not hidden. It's either there or it's not there. Get it? It's actions. It's amal. And then we go to iman. So iman is what? First thing again, it's always tawheed, it's always shahada. Now this time we switch gears a little bit. So it's not just the utteration of the kalma, but it's the belief in the kalma. So iqrarum bil lisan to ho gaya amal, wa tasdeequm bil qalb. So you verify it in your heart. So now it's an action, but it's an action of the heart, something that you don't see. So you cannot look at a person, you cannot determine whether that person has belief in the oneness of Allah, in the shahada in his heart or not. That's something hidden. That's between him and his Lord. What's the next one? Belief in the angels. You cannot look at a person and determine whether that person believes in angels or not. So that is again dil ka hal. The next one, belief in the messengers and the books. You don't know whether that person truly believes या सिर्फ ज़बानी जमा खर्च कर रहा है. Right? So it's not like नमाज के पढ़ी तो पढ़ी और नहीं पढ़ी तो दिख रहा है कि नहीं पढ़ी. दिल का हाल you don't know. So it's something that is embedded within the heart. And it's a one-on-one relationship between him and his Lord. वो मानता है तो good for him. वो नहीं मानता तो tough luck for him. But there's nothing you can do about it. And then so on with the rest of the list under iman. So amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir, and so on and so forth. Everything that falls under iman is not evident. It is not zahir. It is something hidden. With me? Yes. So can we say maybe it's a niyat? Maybe. मेरी नीयत है कि मैं बिलीव करता हूँ एंजल्स पे, शायद मैं नहीं करता. Who knows? You don't know. So just like niyat, just like iman, everything that happens is within the individual itself. So in today's society, there's this एक शोशा छोड़ा हुआ है लोगों ने कि भाई आप अपने अमाल कर लो और दिल का हाल अल्लाह जानता है. दिल का हाल अल्लाह तो जानता है, बेशक जानता है. तो दिल का हाल किस में फॉल हुआ? ईमान में फॉल हुआ. वो जाहिर नहीं है, वो बातिन है, वो छुपा हुआ है. What's the opposite of zahir? Batin. Batin means what? Something that is छुपा हुआ, something that is hidden, something that is concealed, something that cannot be कि हाँ ये है, ये is batin. No, it's something hidden. So एक तरफ आपके अमाल हो गए जो कि जाहिर है, और एक तरफ आपके ईमान हो गया जो कि बातिन है. So if the entire deen is amal and niyat, so this is it right there, right? We're done. We're done. Amal भी हो गए, actions भी हो गए, और hidden चीज़ें भी हो गई, बातिन भी हो गया, ईमान भी हो गया. अब क्या बचा? So then the stranger goes on to ask a third question. What is ihsan? Ihsan kya hai? So the logical response should have been, according to today's society, कि भाई जब अमाल हो गए, जब actions हो गए, और जब ईमान हो गया, दिल का हाल हो गया, तब बचा क्या? Why are you asking a third question? There is no such thing as iman. But no, that's not the answer that he gave. But think about it. Isn't that the dilemma that we're stuck in today? But you do your 5 prayers, you're good. Brother, you're good. You do your 5 prayers, you're good. You don't need anything else. Okay, chalo, you need something else. You need the belief in Allah. You need the belief in the messenger. But that's it. You don't need anything else. That is how it is today, isn't it? So his response should have been, that's it. There's nothing more. There's nothing else. But instead, you know what he said? Instead of saying that there's nothing else, there's nothing more to the deen, this is it, he goes on to answer that question. He goes on to define ihsan. And he says, to do every deed as if you are watching Allah. To do every deed as if you are watching Allah. Think about that for a second. Who can watch Allah? Who can see Allah? Not even Farishta, actually. So it's beyond at least our human capacity to look at Allah, to stare at Allah. We can't even stare at the sun. Right? But the hadith is authentic. To do every deed as if you are watching Allah. And then he goes on further for people like myself who cannot achieve that. He goes on to say, to do every deed as if you are watching Allah. And if you cannot achieve that state of devotion, अगर तुम ये कैफियत नहीं पा सकते, तो इतना ही जान लो कि He is watching you. What does that do? It fixes your amal. It fixes your niyat. When you know that you have a boss, when you know you have a superior, when you know that you have a teacher, when you know you have somebody higher up than you who's looking down at you and monitoring everything that you're doing, everything that you're saying, all your affairs and all your routines and all your habits and all your actions, then what are you going to do? You're going to align yourself. You're going to fix yourself. कि नहीं मैं यावा नहीं कर जाऊँ कि मुझे डांट ना पड़ जाए, कहीं मुझे ऊपर से डंडा ना पड़ जाए, right? That's what happens. That's what happens. So if you're at work and your boss is standing on your shoulder, what are you going to do? Are you going to slack off? No, you won't. You'll put an extra effort. If you're in a class and your teacher is watching over you on a test or homework or whatever, and the teacher is looking at what you're doing, what are you going to do? Ignore the teacher? No, of course not. You're going to put an extra effort. That's what Ehsan does. It's a third dimension that is there, but you can't see it. And it is that dimension that aligns the other 2 dimensions. Because if you take out ihsan, if you take out that limitation or that restriction or that tightness, then you'll just banda phel jata hai. So it is in place there to keep him on track. That is what ihsan does. So ihsan means to do every deed as if you are watching Allah, or at least recognize that He is watching you. Ihsan, husn, hasin, ahsan, it all means the same thing. Perfection is what it means. To beautify something. किसी चीज़ को खूबसूरत बनाना, किसी चीज़ को अपने हसीन तरीन कमाल तक पहुंचाना. That's what ihsan means. To beautify something, to decorate something. So if you're praying, Or if you're praying your salah, you don't want to just do char kalabazi. You want to beautify yourself. You want to make it decorate. You want to decorate it. You want to make it presentable. So you want to beautify your amal. That's what Ihsan does. It beautifies it. You want to perfect your namaz. That's what it means. Perfection, excellence. So if you're praying your namaz, you want to beautify your namaz physically, because there's a method to it, there's a posture to it. It's not just random char harkatein. No, there's a proper structure to the namaz. So agar aap qiyam mein ho, to you want to beautify your qiyam, and if you're doing a ruku, so you want to beautify your ruku, and if you're in your sajda, you want to beautify your sajda. You don't want to just do, if you can get 10 out of 10, would you want to settle for 5 out of 10? 2 out of 10? 0 out of 10? So if that's the case and you don't want to settle, then why settle for namaz or any other thing for that matter? You want to make the best of it, right? You want to make the most beautiful thing out of it. So ye to hua physical. What about your iman? What about your inner capacity? So yeah, you believe in Allah, sure. How much though? What is the quality of your iman? So you want to beautify the quality of your iman as well. You want to beautify the quality of your iman in Allah, your iman in the prophets and the books and the Day of Judgment, for example. So yeah, we believe in the Day of Judgment, but how many times do we intentionally break a rule? All day long? How many times do we lie? Mazak mein hi sahi. Or how many times do we say, yeah, we did our homework, but we really didn't do it? Or how many times do we say, no, I don't have any homework, but we do have homework? Or whatever other case that may be. And you can take this and apply it to any dimension of your life. If you're a grown-up, you're going to work, you have your business dealings, you have your relationships with your friends, your siblings, your parents, whoever, whatever. You want to beautify those relationships. You want to beautify that connection with other people. You want to beautify the connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to beautify your connection with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You want to beautify your connection with your parents, with your siblings, with your teacher, with your boss. That's what Ehsan does. It beautifies our lives. And not just our worldly lives, but the life hereafter as well. That's what Ehsan does. So let's backtrack a little bit. Why are we here? What is the purpose of life? Why are we here? And it's a very basic question. And it's a very fundamental question. And it applies to every single person. But everybody has their own answer. And it's amazing how that works. Everybody has their own definition of the purpose of life. And the definition keeps changing in different phases of life. So maybe right now your purpose of life might be to graduate school. Then your purpose of life might be to graduate college. Then your purpose of life might be to get a good car, get a good job, have a big bank account. Then your purpose of life becomes, I want to give everything to my children. I want to work for them. So the purpose keeps changing. And it differs from each person to another. But is that really true though? क्या ज़िंदगी का मकसद, क्या इंसान का मकसद और ज़िंदगी का मकसद सिर्फ यही है कि आया, खाया, पिया, पैसा कमाया, आगे पास ऑन किया और चल दिया? तो फिर आफ्टर लाइफ में क्या जवाब देना है? अल्लाह ताला ने क्या पूछना है? ये पूछना है कि कितना पैसा कमाया? कि अल्लाह ताला ने ये पूछना है कि कितनी गाड़ियाँ रखी? How fast were they? What year were they? What model were they? How big was your house? Is that what he's going to ask? So if that is not what Allah is focusing on, then why are we focusing on it? And if that is not what Allah wants us to focus on, then why are we not focusing on what He wants us to focus on? Perspective, right? It's nothing new. You all know this information. It's just a different way of thinking things. So what is the purpose of life? So the purpose of life, what is the, how does this TV work, for example? Or how does this mic work? If I've never seen a mic in my life before, and I'm looking at this strange object and I'm curious about it. What is this? Why is this? What's the purpose? What do I do with it? The best thing to do is to ask somebody who's familiar with it, or to read a user manual. Oh, okay, that's what it does. That's how it works. Or go back to the manufacturer. Okay, hey, Mr. whoever, Samsung, whatever. Wait, what is this? And how do I use it? How do I put it to good use? So you apply that same concept and put it and apply it on your life. So on your regards to your life, what's your user manual? Your Quran and Sunnah is your user manual. And who's your manufacturer? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is who made you. So whatever questions you have about yourself, you want to go back to the source. Ya Allah, help me out. What do I do with myself? Why am I here? What is my purpose? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes back and He responds and He says, okay, I have not created any of you except for worship. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created any of you, insan or jinn, any of you, except for worship. So our purpose of life is worship. We are here to glorify Him. We are here to worship Him. We are here to worship the being who made us. وَمَا لِيَ لَعَبُدُ الَّذِي فَتَرَنِي. Should I not worship Him who created me? यानी बाकी सब तो अगर बंदा छोड़ दे कि मुझे ये हाथ दिया जो फंक्शन कर रहा है, he can just as easily take this हाथ away, this function away, right? हाथ तो छोड़, उंगली का function he can take away, right? Now be मोहताज. He can take away the function of the finger. He can take away the function of the hand. He can take away the function of the arm. He can take away the function of the tongue, of the eyes, of breathing, of speaking, of listening, the faculties, the five senses, उठना, बैठना, चलना, सोना, जागना, everything that we do is because of Him. Because He has allowed us to do it. And He can just as easily take it away. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. So which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? Which of your favors? Ya Allah, none of your favors do we deny. None. But we have to think about it. So ये तो एक ही सांस में मैंने 10-15 चीज़ें गिनवा दी, इनमें से एक भी अगर कम हो जाए तो ज़िंदगी अजाब हो जाएगी. Imagine 15 की 15 चली जाए. And then imagine कि 15 से और भी ज़्यादा चली जाए. These are the blessings that we take for granted, which were never guaranteed in the first place. So how many times have we gone back and said, Ya Allah, thank you for my eyesight? How many times have we gone back and said, Ya Allah, thank you for me being able to speak? Or being able to breathe? But that breathing, बाकी तो सब अगर बंदा छोड़ दे breathing. Think about your breath. इंसान की ज़िंदगी 3 सांसें हैं. एक वो सांस जो ले ली, एक वो सांस जो ले रहे हैं, और एक वो सांस जो लेनी बाकी है. That's, in short, in summary, that's life. 3 सांसें. Everybody with me? Understand that? Yes. तो इंसान की ज़िंदगी 3 सांसें हैं. उन 3 में से भी जो ले ली वो तो गई, और जो लेनी बाकी है उसकी गारंटी नहीं. तो इंसान बचा क्या? 1 सांस. इस 1 सांस पे इतना अकड़ता है इंसान. थिंक अबाउट दैट. 1 सांस. एंड उस 1 सांस के ऊपर 2 शुक्र बनते हैं अल्लाह ताला के, कि या अल्लाह तेरा शुक्र है कि सांस मैंने अंदर ली, अगर नहीं लेता तो मर जाता, तो तेरा शुक्र है. और वही सांस जो अंदर ली, तेरा शुक्र है कि सांस बाहर आई, अगर बाहर नहीं आती तो भी मैं मर जाता. तो हर सांस पे 2 शुक्र बनते हैं. और ये सिर्फ सांस की बात है, बाकी सब तो छोड़ दिया. आंखें और सुनना बोलना सब कुछ साइड पे कर दिया. सिर्फ 1 सांस के ऊपर 2 शुक्र बनते हैं. So if you start racking it up, and if you start compiling it, and if you start adding it, within a single minute, 60 seconds of your life, कितने शुक्र बन गए? और सिर्फ सांस का शुक्र करो तो भी इतने सारे शुक्र बन गए, तो बाकी सब कुछ जो हमारे अंदर है और जो फंक्शन है, जो चल रहा है, जो अल्लाह ताला ने दिया है, उसका अगर हम शुक्र अदा करें, वो भी काफ़ी नहीं है. Do you understand that? So the purpose of life is worship, and why shouldn't it be? When He has blessed us with so many of these blessings, why shouldn't we thank the being who gave us all of these things? You all came here today, right? You all came here to listen to me. I feel sorry for you guys, but you all came here for me. Imagine if I handed out each of you $100 for no reason, just to be here, just for listening to me today. Here you go, $100. Here you go, $100. Here you go, $100. Here you go, $100. Just for being here. The least you're going to do, what are you going to do? The least you're going to do is say thank you. The least you're going to do is say thank you. So if I'm giving you $100 and you're thanking me, He has given you more than $100. Would you sell me your eye for $100? Would you sell me your arm for $100? Would you sell me your foot for $100? No, you won't. Nobody would. Nobody would. So that's the perspective we need to have. We need to live our lives with that perspective that He is watching us. Everything we do, everything we say, even everything we think needs to have that component of God consciousness, God fearfulness. And we need to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us all of these things that we never even asked for, and things that He can take away. And then you want to take the scenario even further. Let's go further. I gave you $100, you thanked me, and then for whatever reason I didn't like something. You know what? I don't like your shirt, so I'm going to take the $100 back. Not you, but I'm going to take the $100 back. Imagine if Allah Ta'ala took those things back. Or sometimes, as it happens, things don't go our way, and I don't know how, but we end up complaining. Ya Allah, why me? What did I do to deserve this? Mere saath hi kyun hua? Or even worse things. And then there are some other people जो अल्लाह को मानते ही नहीं है, या मानते हैं लेकिन मुसलमान नहीं है. So there are other religious people. अल्लाह ताला सबको देता है. अल्लाह ताला सबका है. He's not just ours, He is everybody's. So imagine if we complained and He got mad and He took it back. I mean, He has the right, He doesn't need a reason. But now that we are being ungrateful, technically that's a reason, but He still doesn't take it away. He still doesn't take it away. He keeps on giving. He keeps on giving. We keep on complaining, and He keeps letting us complain. That's how great He is. He can just as easily put a stop to it. Just easy, very easy. Not even the blink of an eye. लेकिन हम जो ज़बान उसने हमको दी, उसी ज़बान से हम उसके आगे शिकवे करते हैं. How arrogant are we? How bad are we? Think about that. It's not ours. We didn't make it. We didn't bring it with us. We were born with it. But how is it ours? It's not ours. It was given to us. So we need to have that perspective of Ihsan. Ihsan is what aligns ourselves. It is what beautifies our actions and our affairs and our daily habits and everything that we do and everything that we say and even everything that we think. So when we were born, or actually even before we were born, Before we were born, Allah Ta'ala had made our ruh, our souls, our spirits. He had already made them, and He had kept them in a place. Our souls were someplace else. And Allah Ta'ala spoke to our souls, and He asked our souls, am I not your Lord? We actually talked to Allah, believe it or not. We had a communication. Am I not your Lord? So the ruh, you know what the ruh said? What did the ruh say? Yes, you are. Duh. Of course you are. Alastu bi rabbikum? Am I not your Lord? Qalu bala. Yes, you are, my Lord. Yes, you are. So our souls know that there is a Lord, there is a Creator, there is a God. Our souls know that. Even though people seem to have forgotten, but our souls still have that thirst in them. So our souls know that there is a God. And then we are born into this world, and we have forgotten. तो जब तक हम उस आलम अरवाह में थे, तो हमारी रूहों को मालूम था कि एक रब है और हमने उससे वादा किया है, हमने अहद अलस्त किया है। रूहों को पता था। जब तक हम आलम अरवाह में थे तो सब कुछ was nice and good and dandy because we were not there, ironically. But as soon as we came here, आलम अरवाह से निकल के आलम नासूत में आए तो भूल गए, तो भूल गए। And now that's what life is, to recreate that connection back to Him, to go back to the source. So our ruh understands that there is a Lord, our ruh recognizes that there is a Lord, our ruh seeks that Lord, but ruh is हमारे जिस्म के अंदर बंद है. It's a कैदी, it's a prisoner. And that is why जिस्म को कहते हैं कफस उनसरी, the पिंजरा of the five elements. कफस कहते हैं पिंजरे को, उनसरी कहते हैं उनसर को. उनसर means elements. Elements are what? Earth, fire, wind, and water. So the kafas unsari means the cage of the four elements, and the ruh is a prisoner of that cage. And the ruh is constantly like a bird trying to go back to the Creator, because it doesn't belong in this alam nasut. It doesn't belong in the alam nasut. And that is, it's a little bit off topic, but I just want to throw it out there since we're here. That is why जब कोई अल्लाह का वली, अल्लाह का बुजुर्ग, जब कभी उनका इंतकाल होता है, तो we don't feel sad per se, because the ruh never belonged in this world. He has gone back to where he wanted to go in the first place, and that's why it's an urs. Urs means a day of happiness. The ruh is happy to go back to the Creator. The ruh was never. The hadith में है कि the dunya is a jail khana for a believer. So when a believer, when a prisoner gets out of the jail khana, would he not be happy? Of course he would be happy. Why wouldn't he be happy? So coming back to our topic. So the ruh recognizes that there is a God, and the ruh is seeking that connection with God. And here we are talking about Ihsan, and what is Ihsan saying? Lo and behold, it is talking about the connection with God. Do every deed as if you are watching Allah. You are watching me and I am watching you. Are we not connected? Yes, we are. So do every deed as if you are watching Allah. So the Hadith Jibreel, this is the Hadith Jibreel, that is, this entire Hadith that I mentioned, the Islam, the Ihsan, and the Iman falls under the umbrella of Hadith Jibreel. There are a few other questions that were asked. And then the stranger went away, and Prophet turned to the Prophet, to the companions, and asked them, do you know who he was? No, we don't, but Allah and His Rasul know best. He was Jibreel. That was Jibreel. He came to you to teach you your religion. Of course Jibreel knows the religion, and of course Prophet knows the religion. But this was a way to demonstrate to the others that when other people ask you these questions, this is how you answer. So the hadith of Jibreel talks about Ehsan, and Ehsan talks about connectivity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It talks about a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To do every deed as if you are watching Allah. How are you going to know your Lord if there is no connection? How are you going to please your Lord if there is no connection? And the purpose of life is to please your Lord, is to worship. So how are you going to worship and please Him if you don't know what He wants, what He likes, what He's like, or what anything about Him? So we need to have that connection with Him. And that connection is what's important. And that connection is what we need in our lives. So that connection is what we need. And that connection is called Ihsan. And Ihsan has two levels to it. The first level is as if you are watching Allah. That does not mean that you are literally watching Allah with these eyes. Like I said, these eyes के साथ तो हम सूरज को नहीं देख सकते, तो अल्लाह को कैसे देखेंगे? And then Musa alayhi salam also said कि Ya Allah, I want to see you. Do you know that waqia? Do you guys know that waqia? Some blank stares, some noddings. Okay, Musa alayhi salam used to be able to communicate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he would go on top of a mountain called Mount Tur, Jabal Tur. And over there he would communicate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he once mentioned the desire, that, Ya Allah, I want to see you. I want to see you. Unzur ilayk. I want to see you. He said, Lan tarani. You cannot see me. That was a response that he received. You cannot see me. So आँखों से, इन आँखों से देखना तो जब मूसा अलैहिस्सलाम को नहीं उनको मिला तो हम तो नहीं देख सकते. सीधी सी बात है. It's very simple. So the hadith of Jibreel, where it talks about Ihsan, to do every deed as if you are watching Allah, it does not mean that you are literally watching Allah. It means that you should be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be mindful of Him. Know that He's there. And know that you wouldn't mess up if you were looking at your boss and your boss was right there. And if you cannot achieve that state of devotion, then there's a second layer. That know that He is watching you. चलो तुम में ताकत नहीं है, तुम में कैपेबिलिटी नहीं है, तुम वहां तक नहीं पहुंच सके, लेकिन वो तो है, उसमें तो कैपेबिलिटी है, उसमें तो ताकत है, वो तो देख सकता है. So know that He is watching you. So first one is called mushahida, where you are watching Allah. Mushahida. Where you are watching Allah. Mushahida means, even Urdu में भी हम कहते हैं कि हम मेरा मुशाहिदा है. मुशाहिदा, shahid, shahadat, mashhud, all the same things. For example, kalma shahadat. What does shahadat mean? Gawahi. मैं गवाही देता हूँ. अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. You know that thing. मुशाहिदा. So आप शहादत कैसे दोगे अगर आपने देखा नहीं है? Again, off topic, but how are you gonna, in which court, for example, बहरेन में कोई एक्सीडेंट होता है, you go to the court and you say, हाँ इस ड्राइवर ने इस ड्राइवर को मारा है लेकिन मैंने नहीं देखा. Which court is going to accept a gavahi if you have not witnessed it? None. It does not happen. It will never happen. Right? So we're on the same page? Yes. So what is our second kalma? अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. मैं शहादत देता हूँ, मैं गवाही देता हूँ कि अल्लाह के सिवा कोई नहीं. तुम में से किसने देखा है अल्लाह को? तो फिर तुम्हारी गवाही की क्या हैसियत है? That's what it means, right? That's what it means. मैं गवाही देता हूँ कि अल्लाह के सिवा कोई नहीं. That's like saying कि मैं गवाही देता हूँ कि इसने उसको मारा, लेकिन आपने तो नहीं देखा, आपने अल्लाह को तो नहीं देखा, तो आपकी गवाही की क्या हैसियत है? तो हम गवाही इसलिए देते हैं क्योंकि जिसने हमको बताया है हम उस पर ईमान रखते हैं. And that's good enough for us. हम उसको बेदलील मानते हैं. हमें उसके लिए कोई दलील की ज़रूरत नहीं, और हमारे लिए यही काफ़ी है कि उन्होंने कह दिया कि अल्लाह एक है, अल्लाह एक है. Good enough for us. But that should also tell you something. Okay, we are accepting his gawahi. How is he giving the gawahi? Somebody has to have seen something somewhere. And that's it. I'm just going to touch on that and then move on. So the concept of Ihsan, the dimension of Ihsan, the third dimension, we were talking about Zahir and Batin, and I mentioned this, I don't know how many of you were here last time, but I mentioned this example. So I'm going to mention it again. You probably may already be familiar with it. But basically, it goes like you have your Islam, which is actions, which is amal, which is Zahir. And then you have your Iman, which is the Batin. So you have a Zahir and you have a Batin. So one is apparent and evident and the other one is hidden and concealed. So Zahir bhi hai, Batin bhi hai. So where does Ihsan fit in? Zahir bhi hai, Batin bhi hai. So Ihsan, where does it fit in? In both. And the example of that is, okay, the example I gave last time was a banana. You have a banana, right? You have a fruit. And you can take this on most fruits and apply it on most fruit. Whatever your favorite fruit is. I don't know why I thought of banana that day. Banana is okay? Okay. So you have a banana, right? And if you can imagine that banana, so you have this banana which is yellow or green or whatever your taste is. And then you start peeling that banana if you want to eat it. ऐसे तो मुंह में नहीं डालता ना? I hope not. So you have a banana which is in its entirety known as the banana. If you were to say, "Ke Zeeshan bhai banana la do," and I bring you that banana, you're not going to blame me because it is a banana. But if you want to eat it, you're going to peel it. So when you peel it, now you have a banana which is the outside layer, which is the chilka. And then you have an inside layer, which is the fruit, the guda, whatever. So yeah? So pehle pura banana tha, but now when you separate it, now one is a chilka and one is a fruit. Even though just a minute ago it was all banana. But now it is no longer all a banana. Now it's a fruit and a chilka. And if you were to say, Zeeshan bhai, I want to eat banana and I give you that chilka, what are you going to do? Probably throw it back at me. So we all recognize that is no longer a banana. Even though a minute ago it was a banana. Follow me? With me? So what just happened? Why is it no longer a banana? Because one is the banana, which is the fruit, and one is the chilka. So each one has its own separate identity. So when combined, it was in its entirety a fruit. But when separated, when dissected, when gone on a lower or deeper level, now you can dissect it. And same thing with anything else in life. Once you go deeper, far enough, you will see separation. So you have that banana, and now there's a chilka and there's a banana. And if I give you that chilka, you don't like that chilka anymore. You don't want that chilka anymore. What does that tell you? That tells you that the value of the zahir is only until it is associated with the batin. The fruit. The fruit is the batin and the chilka is the zahir. So the value of the zahir is only valuable until it is associated with the inner self, the batin, the fruit. Once separated, zahir means nothing. Well, I don't want to say zahir means nothing, but zahir has its own place, but recognize that batin has its own place as well. With me? Yes. And then you eat that fruit, and it's not meeta enough. So where does the meeta come into play? It's not meeta enough. So that meetha is the quality of the banana. It is the hasil of the banana. That meetha is the purpose of that banana. That meetha is we want to accomplish from that banana. That meetha is why we were having the banana in the first place. That meetha is what drove us towards having this banana. That meetha is ihsan. That's the batin ka batin. That's the batin ka batin. And that meetha is what drives our actions. So the ihsan is what drives or should drive our actions. To do every deed as if you are watching Allah. So do everything in the best way possible. Have the kela which is the best kela possible. Now think about it. You have, for example, a recipe. And I'm not a cook, so I'm not even going to try to pretend I know anything about recipes. But I do know enough to give you this example. So let's say you have a cookbook and you have a recipe, and it asks you to make something with 4, 6, 8 different ingredients or whatever. And 5 of you, or all of you for that matter, make that khana, that dish, that whatever. But each one of you does it separately. So even though each of you are following that same cookbook, that same recipe, लेकिन हर किसी का जायका अलग होगा. How does that happen? How does that work? We're following the same recipe. We're following the same cookbook. But each one has a different zaika. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you can control the factors that go in there. You can control the ingredients that go in there. You can control how much and how often to put in there. But you cannot control the most important thing, which is zaika. Zaika comes from somewhere else. And zaika is what drives you towards making it. So apparently you have a cookbook and then only you know how much of it you put in there. And then the result that comes out is different for each person. And in a way that is true for Ihsan as well. Because each person receives different gifts from his Lord or her Lord. And whatever he receives is what beautifies and what ईमान की जो चाशनी उसको मिलती है वो हर एक का अलग उसका experience होता है. And that's what Ihsan is. Ihsan is experiential knowledge. It is not textbook, it is experience. It is an experiential knowledge, and each person has a different experience. And each person ka experience is true and valid on its own part. और ये जो एक्सपीरियंस आता है ये अल्लाह ताला की तरफ से गिफ्ट होते हैं. किसको कितना कब कैसे कहाँ ये उसकी मर्जी और हम उसको चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते. So that's what Ihsan does. When you travel on the path of Ihsan, the Ihsan, there's a path associated with it. And that path, उर्दू में उसको कहते हैं राह सलूक भी कहते हैं. सलूक की राह. यही एहसान जो हदीस में एहसान है इसको कुरान में तज़किया कहा गया है. So एहसान has different words and different meanings. Well, same meanings but different connotations. So हदीस में जिसको एहसान कहा गया, कुरान ने उसको तज़किया कहा. युअल्लिमुहुमुल किताब वल हिकमा व युज़क्कीहिम. हुजूर के बारे में अल्लाह ताला ने फरमाया कि किताब की तालीम दी और हिकमत दी और युज़क्कीहिम, उनका तज़किया किया. तो तज़किया is the same as ihsan. Tazkiya is the Quranic terminology, ihsan is the hadith ki terminology. And as society evolved, it got compiled and institutionalized into a formalized version. For example, some people followed his the things that he said. Some people compiled what he said. Some people wrote down what he said. And some people worked on what he said. So what he said became known as hadith. And the people who work in this field are known as muhaddis. So what he said became hadith, and the people who work on what he said became muhaddis. Technically, this ilm never really existed. It was never really called as hadith while he was apparent with us. But this was compiled later on. But it is from him, right? Nobody can say that hadith kahan se beech mein aa gayi, this was never true, this was never part of his teachings. No, of course it was. It was just never called hadith, but it was always there. Isi tarah, some ayahs were revealed and people used to ask him, what does this mean, or what does that mean, or what is the background of this or that. So he would explain what it means or what that means or what the background is. And that later on, when got compiled and formalized, became known as tafsir. And the people who work on that became mufassir. So yeah, technically the word didn't exist at that time, but the concept existed. We just basically put it together, made it easy for people like you and I, and gave it a name. Make sense? Isi tarah, some people worked on how he would pronounce the words. So that became tajweed. And people would work on that, and the people who worked on that became qaris. Okay, this is how you want to do the qiraat of the Quran. So it was never called that at that time, but it always existed. The concept was always there. All we did was put it together to make it easy for you and I. Because imagine if we didn't know what these things meant or did, even though we know, we still can't master it. So if we didn't know, hum to nahi kar sakte. It's beyond us, right? So now we have the option. भाई किसी का इंटरेस्ट है हदीस में तो वो हदीस में चला जाए, किसी का इंटरेस्ट है तफसीर में तो वो तफसीर में चला जाए, किसी का इंटरेस्ट है कुरान की तिलावत में तो वो कारी की तरफ चला जाए. We have different categories that one can choose and excel in. Ehsan, Hasin. So we can choose different whichever categories and excel in that. So isi tarah, during his lifetime, he always had that connectivity. Like I was talking about the connection with our ruh and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we forgot that connection, but he was always mindful of that connection. How could he not be? So he always had that connection with his Lord. So some people took that connection and studied that connection and compiled it into a formalized version. So Ihsan was in the hadith and tazkiyah was in the Quran, and then when they compiled it, it became known as zuhd. Ilmul zuhd. And that's in the ahadith as well, in the compilation of Imam Bukhari. Ilm-e-zuhd is what it became known as, and then it became known as, down the road it became known as tasawwuf, it became known as Sufism, it became known as suluk, it became known as tariqah, it became known as, like tariqah, for example, tariqah doesn't mean Urdu wala tariqah, which means a method, ke iska karne ka ye tariqah hai. Tariqah as in Arabic, which comes, which means to show the way, to guide the way. Jaisa Tariq. Tariq is a star. The stars were used to navigate. The stars were used to guide the way. So usi tarah tariq and tariqah. The tariqah is the path upon which we can travel, and the destination is him, Aap Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and through him Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? Yes. Okay. So as you can see, the tariqah, tasawwuf, Sufism, Ihsan, all of this were part of his teachings. And they were as integral teaching as Islam and Iman, because it's the same hadith, and it's by the same people, and it's narrated by the same narrators, and it's in the same books. So why or how can we take one or two and isolate the third? We can't, and we shouldn't. So this is a misconception that people have, that Ihsan or tasawwuf is something brand new And how did it originate? Where did it originate from? Why did it originate? No, it's none of that. It is taught by Prophet ﷺ himself. It is a part of his teachings, and he encouraged these teachings. Sure, it was not as formalized as it is, but then again, at that time, nothing was. And people, he was basically, यूँ समझे कि he was a river or a sea, and people would have their small cups, जिसको जितना मिला, जहाँ से मिला उसने उतना लिया. रिवर की कमी नहीं है ये कमी उस कप की है या उस उठाने वाले की है. वो जितना उठा सका वो उठाया उसने. एंड देन अल्लाह ताला ने आगे इस निज़ाम को चलाना था, तो अब नबूवत ख़त्म हो गई. नाउ व्हाट वी हैव इज़ व्हाट इज़ नोन एज विलायत. Vilayat is what we have, and Vilayat is now fulfilling the vacuum that has been created because there's no more Nabuwwat. So that's where the concept of awliya comes from, where the concept of buzurg comes from, where the concept of this mystical dimension of Islam comes from, because it is mystical in a way. And it is mystical in the sense that it is not zahir and it is not batin. It is something beyond zahir and batin, even though it drives the zahir and batin. Does that make sense? So I hope that, to recap, Ihsan, what is Ihsan? I think now we know what Ihsan is. Where did it come from? We covered that. It is a part as much as any others. We covered that. We covered the connection of the ruh with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We covered that. And the ruh knows our Lord. The ruh is constantly seeking our Lord. Just keep that in mind. So we need to facilitate that. So that is why when any time we do like these kind of mahfils or any other religious gatherings or whatever, we find that the time just flies. Because we are giving the ruh what it needs. It is always seeking that connection. And it is only because we are here that we have forgotten. Why are we called Ihsan? We were called Ihsan, right? Why are we called Ihsan? What does that mean? To forget. Ihsan comes from the word nisyan. Nisyan means to forget. What did we forget? We forgot that promise that we made to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He said, Alastu bi rabbikum? Am I not your Lord? And we said, yes, you are our Lord. We have forgotten that promise, even though our ruh remembers, and that is why we are called Ihsan. So we need to remind ourselves of that promise, and we need to fulfill the purpose of life, which is to worship. And when we remind ourselves and when we worship, guess what? We're not forgotten anymore. So in a way, we're not Ihsan anymore. We are something better than Ihsan, even though we are Ihsan. I hope I didn't overload you guys with information. I tried to keep it as simple as possible.